Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Corning. In the wake of the new mask guidelines, local business owners are left to decide whether or not they should continue to enforce mask wearing for their patrons. Matt Kleindienst spoke with one local business owner about how they plan to proceed.
Good evening, Scott. About a half a dozen local businesses I spoke with have not decided about mask policies going forward. However, one local business owner told me the change in policy is an easy call.
As soon as they say that New York State can be open with not wearing a mask if you're fully vaccinated, then we can definitely let people in, I would think, without masks.
Jennifer Herman of Old World Cafe and Ice Cream says she will follow the new mask guidelines laid out by the CDC last week. Any patron of the ice cream shop will no longer be required to wear a mask if they are fully vaccinated. Masks will be encouraged for those who aren't fully vaccinated. However, Herman says that may be difficult to enforce.
I can't stop them from coming in if they're not wearing a mask since, they don't have to anymore. I would hope people who are not vaccinated will continue to wear masks, and we will still have signage saying that please, if you are not vaccinated, to wear a mask for everyone's safety.
Most of the Old World Cafe staff is vaccinated. However, Herman believes they'll continue to wear masks for their own safety.
We don't know if people will come in that are not vaccinated, and we won't know. So our best bet is to just keep our masks on, and at least for a little while longer.
In a tweet released this morning, Governor Cuomo announced that New York State mask guidelines will match the CDC's starting on Wednesday. Ultimately, however, private venues will be the ones to decide for themselves about their own mask policies. Reporting from Corning, Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC.
India has reported a significant drop in COVID-19 cases for the first time in nearly a month. But the daily death toll still remains above 4,000. And rural India is seeing a surge in new cases. Anna Karen has more.
As India's second wave of COVID continues to devastate much of the country, daily infections dropped below 300,000 on Monday for the first time in almost a month. It's a sign that cases may have peaked, even though the average daily death toll stands at nearly 4,000. The government is turning its attention to rural India, where almost two-thirds of the population live following a surge in cases. It's calling on schools, community centres and government buildings to be used to treat COVID patients, while rural health clinics, typically under-resourced, need to be stocked with beds and oxygen cylinders. Most of India is now under lockdown. The capital, New Delhi, has extended its lockdown for the fourth time for another week as case numbers continue to drop. Prime Minister Narendra Modi finally addressed the public late last week after being out of the public eye for more than 3 weeks, saying the government was on a war footing in tackling the pandemic and that as his country's servant, he feels his people's pain. Well, meantime, the government continues to try to silence its critics. Police in New Delhi arrested up to 15 people after posters went up around the city saying, "Mr. Modi, why did you send our children's vaccines abroad?" The reaction by the government prompted a backlash on social media with the hashtag #ArrestMeToo trending on Twitter. Anna Karen, CNN, Hong Kong.
Recent data shows some major racial disparities in Minnesota between those who have and have not received the COVID-19 vaccine. Rob Olson has the story.
It's appalling. I just gotta make that comment.
Minneapolis City Council member Andrea Jenkins was reacting to this statistic that in Minneapolis, 71% of whites have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, but only 35% of Hispanics, and for blacks, 28%. The city's health commissioner blamed the state for how vaccines were rolled out.
It resulted in disproportionate availability for people of color.
That even when placed in minority communities, they were open to all who were eligible.
And yet, the rollout was all about white people. Even when vaccinations were in Black communities, white people from all over the state were coming into Minneapolis, taking advantage of those opportunities.
Are you ready?
The Minnesota Department of Health now announcing a vaccine push to target those inequities, focused on those in zip codes with the highest social vulnerability indexes, or SVI, data showing those are also where the virus is hit the hardest.
Children under the age of 17 who live in high SVI zip codes in Minnesota
have experienced 45% of all COVID-19 hospitalizations to date.
The new push, partnering with major health providers, will use pop-up clinics at places like food banks, community centers, churches, and schools, send mobile vaccination buses across the state, and try to fix other barriers like transportation and interpreters, and get out accurate information about vaccines, because hesitancy to get vaccinated is a big part why rates across all demographics have slowed.
Even after we hit the 70% goal, or the goal after that, we have to keep going, particularly on this equity piece.
A new mural project is underway at Eldridge Park in Elmira. The Community Arts of Elmira is working on painting the park's West Side Avenue entrance as part of its Elmira Infinite Canvas program. Joe Caparulo says the mural project will help make Eldridge Park more inviting.
Murals totally change people's attitude about different sections of the city, which that once were maybe ignored or not appreciated as much. Painting, murals, three-dimensional art, and so on really give areas of our city a different dimension.
Artist Emily Solometa will be painting the West Side Avenue mural. That project is expected to be completed in July. Here's another sign that New York is inching back to normal. The annual Empire State Building run-up is coming back in October. The popular race challenges runners to go up more than 1,500 steps and 86 floors in one of the world's most famous buildings. Thousands of runners are expected to apply, but only 125 will be picked to participate this time. The 43rd annual event will have beefed up safety measures. Runners will have to show proof of vaccination, and the heats will be staggered to give people lots of time and space to reach the top. Registration opens on June 1st. The Biden administration is addressing the growing violence in the Middle East as fighting between Israel and Hamas escalates. Rich Edson has more.
Violence in the Middle East enters a second week. Hamas firing rockets into civilian areas of Israel overnight. The Israeli military responding, unleashing a series of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, killing a senior Palestinian militant commander. The latest attacks come one day after 42 Palestinians were killed in air raids, marking the deadliest day in the escalating violence between Israel and Hamas.
We've been working intensively behind the scenes to try to bring an end to the conflict.
At a news conference in Copenhagen, Secretary of State Antony Blinken addressed the conflict amid mounting international pressure for the Biden administration to call for a ceasefire.
We call on all parties to ensure the protection of civilians, especially children, to respect international humanitarian law, to protect medical facilities, protect media organizations, and protect UN facilities where civilians are desperately seeking shelter.
In a pre-recorded video marking the Muslim Eid holiday, the president Sunday said his administration is working with both sides.
And my administration is going to continue to engage Palestinians and Israelis and other regional partners to work towards sustained calm.
Over the weekend, Israel's prime minister defended his country's military actions.
Just imagine what would have happened if you had 2,900 rockets fired on Washington and New York and others. I think you would understand our position. I think you do, actually.
Diplomats from the UN Security Council and the region spent the weekend in emergency meetings, trying to find a way to stop the fighting. At the State Department, Rich Edson, Fox News.
An alert 7th grader is being credited with saving the life of his four-legged best friend. The dog was having trouble breathing, but the boy remembered a lesson from health class and performed the Heimlich maneuver. Ty Milburn has the story.
Come on, KK. By his own account, 12-year-old Brady Cole retains most of what he learns in school, but not quite all of it.
I'd say about like 65%.
Not bad. And it's this anti-choking lesson that he learned in the 7th grade health class.
It's the Heimlich.
That he not only remembered, but he used to save the life of his best friend, Kyrie, an almost 3-year-old mini golden doodle.
The way we learned it was for humans, so I tried it on a dog.
You see, the family was on a recent Mother's Day hike when
my brother actually realized that Kyrie was choking and he wasn't acting normal.
So without much thought, Brady sprung into action.
What I did was I found his ribs and found like the bottom of them. I made like a fist type thing and I tried it and I went like this like 3 times and It sounded like you spit something up.
Brady did it.
I didn't really know if I did anything. After a while, I noticed that I actually did something. And like, I had no faith in that would work. So.
But you tried it anyway.
Yeah, and it did work, and I was pretty happy.
And now, so is Kyrie. Brady says if he learned one big lesson from this experience, it's...
School could be important, and you could use it in your future to really help you and help others. And so it is important to pay attention.
Perhaps that's the best lesson of them all.
Still ahead tonight, the pandemic has been rough on everyone, especially some children. When it comes to their mental health, parents might not always understand what's normal and what needs attention.
We all have mental health, and it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we behave.
Coming up, how these coping skills may help.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. Expect a warming trend for the next few days. In fact, it's going to start to feel a little bit like summer by the end of the week. Our temperatures a little bit warmer today than they were yesterday, about 4 degrees warmer in Elmira, 5 in Watkins Glen, and also in Bath. As we wake up tomorrow morning, expect it to be cool but sunny. Temperature readings around 49 degrees at 6 o'clock. We managed to get up into the 50s by 7, and then 60 degrees, could you believe it, by 8 o'clock in the morning. And we are expecting this warm air to continue throughout the day. This is the reason why. We have high pressure moving into the Atlantic, allowing for south winds to return. And so temperatures tomorrow just a little bit warmer, or at least a few degrees warmer than what we had today. But it's going to be a pretty nice day with lots of sunshine. And so no excuses, no weather excuses if you have to get some yard work done. Sunny conditions early in the day, 71 degrees by 10. As we head into the 3 o'clock hour, 78 degrees. And then mostly sunny at 6 o'clock with a reading around 75 degrees. And with high pressure just bubbling northward and the jet stream making its way all the way to the north, we are expecting this warming trend to continue at least through the second half of the week. So those temperatures will be a good 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Here's a look at your forecast. Tonight, we drop down to around 47 degrees in Corning, 46 degrees in Elmira, so it's going to be a pretty cool night. Mostly clear skies, and then tomorrow, plenty of sunshine with highs around 78 degrees in Corning and also in Elmira, 77 degrees in Watkins Glen, and a little bit cooler in Bath at 73 degrees. We are expecting much warmer conditions heading into your Wednesday with the high around 84 degrees, plenty of sunshine, and then a little bit more cloud cover on Thursday. Highs still not bad though, around 83 degrees. That's still about 10 degrees above normal. Low 80s possible through the end of the week. Increasing clouds on Friday as another storm system approaches. We do have the possibility of showers and thunderstorms on your Saturday, but even with that, we do warm up to around 82 degrees. But then we have another system that will come through and it will help to pull in a little bit cooler air and a lot of clouds on Monday. And so our high will only be around 77 degrees. Notice our overnight lows. It may be a little bit chilly the next couple of days, but by the end of the week with increasing clouds, the lows will only drop down to the low 60s. So it's going to be a pretty mild start to your Friday and also on your Saturday. That's a look at your weather. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The pandemic has been rough on everyone, especially some children. And for parents, it may be hard to differentiate what's normal, what needs attention, and what to do if there's a problem. But addressing 5 mental health myths may help. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
From virtual learning to being separated from friends and family, the pandemic has been rough on many children.
We all have mental health, and it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we behave.
Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says the first myth about mental health is that it's a mental illness.
Just like with our physical health, our mental health changes all the time, and we all have it, and we need to do things proactively and regularly to take care of our mental health.
Baumstein says it's also not true that kids can't have mental health challenges. She says teach children about feelings, that it's normal to have them, and help them to label those feelings so they know how to express themselves. Finally, help them learn to manage or cope with those feelings. Another myth, bad parenting is the cause of those challenges.
We really want to shift the conversation away from placing blame on the child or the parent and instead redirect to getting proper assessment and treatment.
Baumstein says it's another myth that doctors are quick to diagnose a problem and medicate. It's always a parent's choice to accept a medication recommendation or not. And finally, she says it's a myth that talking about mental health puts ideas into a child's mind.
There's no research to support this. And in fact, having open and honest conversations about this stuff is much more likely to help a child feel safe.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Wall Street Journal reporting that Bill Gates resigned from Microsoft's board of directors in 2020 while the board was investigating a romantic relationship he had with a Microsoft employee. Christine Romans has the story.
Microsoft founder Bill Gates facing misconduct accusations for a relationship he had with a Microsoft engineer starting in 2000. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. The paper found that his March 2020 resignation from the tech company's board of directors followed an investigation into the affair by an outside law firm hired by the board. The Microsoft board became aware of the affair in 2019 after the employee sent a letter detailing the relationship, the Journal reports. During the probe, some board members thought it was no longer fitting for Gates to continue his role with the company, the Journal said, citing people familiar with the matter. A spokesperson for Microsoft telling CNN a committee of the board reviewed the concern, aided by an outside law firm, to conduct a thorough investigation. Throughout the investigation, Microsoft provided extensive support to the employee who raised the concern. A spokesperson for Gates admitted to the relationship, telling the Journal, quote, "There was an affair almost 20 years ago which ended amicably. His decision to transition off the board was in no way related to this matter."
Okay, so you have to go some distance. You can't get it nearby.
At the time Gates announced his resignation, he said it was out of a desire to focus on his philanthropic work. In another report, the New York Times reported that Gates developed a reputation for questionable conduct in work-related settings, adding that on at least a few occasions, Mr. Gates pursued women who worked for him at Microsoft and at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Times citing people with direct knowledge of the overtures. Gates' spokesperson denied any mistreatment of employees to the Times and said it is extremely disappointing that there have been so many untruths published about the cause, the circumstances, and the timeline of Bill Gates' divorce. These revelations come just weeks after Gates and his wife Melinda announced they were divorcing after 27 years of marriage.
In the case of Melinda, it's a, truly equal partner.
The couple met in 1987 while she was working at Microsoft.
I was new to Microsoft. There were a lot of men there. And you're still looking around, you're still figuring it out.
But after about a year of that, sort of to our surprise, certainly my surprise, we said, "Hey, I love you," and she said she loved me.
Students at one Iowa school are learning more than science and math. They're being shown firsthand how to make a real difference in someone's life. Tommy Clark has that story.
Inside Kemper Catholic Grade School, these kids are learning about kindness.
We talk all the time about filling other people's buckets, what it feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like.
But it's what's happening outside the classroom that's setting the life lesson in motion. All because a student's family of Hawkeye fans got an idea. With mom by her side, kindergartner Andy Neeland is leading the way to show someone their wave.
You see Grandma's right up there. You see her?
Deb Neeland is the reason.
Just made my heart so happy. Just unreal. Just surprise, surprise. Just a little wave can make your day.
Especially when you're going through cancer treatment.
I never would have imagined that I would have to be here with my mother-in-law, but if we could have a silver lining in all this has definitely been that.
Because that simple act of kindness has inspired a movement in Carroll.
It started off as a very simple thing. You know, it started off just coming to wave to grandma and let's make it the whole class and it'll be fun.
Since March, every day, a different class now walks by to wave hello through the window. Not only to patients, but to the St. Anthony nurses behind the glass who have their own kids in the Kemper Catholic District.
Last week they came by and one of her classmates, her grandfather was getting treated for the first time, and it just happened we were able to put him on the patio and her friend was able to run up and give her grandpa a big hug. I don't know that anyone ever had a dry eye in the whole building.
Today, the classrooms are combining for the first time. Each grade is grabbing their sign, some a hand, and heading outside for one big wave.
To see that split second of happiness where they forget everything that they're going through and it's just about a simple joy.
I love it! It's so fun! Deb is having her last look out the window. Following treatment and a major surgery, she is cancer-free.
It's definitely been tough. There's no doubt about it. Positive attitude is the number one thing when you're dealing with stuff like this. It's just amazing. Just all the little support through the town, through friends, family, and through the wave, and through the wave.
Coca-Cola is saying goodbye to its Coke energy drink. It's being discontinued in North America just over a year after it launched. Coke Energy hit stores only a few weeks before the coronavirus pandemic began. The company says COVID-19 altered its business strategy for the drink. Even though Coke Energy is being cut here, it will remain on sale in other parts of the world. A dog caught choking while on a walk is okay after his 12-year-old owner used what he learned in health class to save his four-legged friend's life. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Come on, KK.
A New York 7th grader is being credited with using the Heimlich maneuver to save his dog from choking. Brady Cole credits a lesson he learned in health class for the save. The Cole family was on a hike with their dog, Kyrie, when it happened.
My brother actually realized that Kyrie was choking. What I did was I found his ribs, found like the bottom of them. I made like a fist type thing, and I tried it and I went like this 3 times, and it sounded like he spit something up.
Kyrie recovered and has a new leash on life thanks to the valuable safety lesson. Brady says the experience taught him an important lesson about school in general.
It is important to pay attention.
Workers at a California gas station had to snap into action when a careening vehicle slammed into a fuel pump. The truck was coming off a nearby highway exit when the driver lost control.
I see the bottom of this truck just flying through.
Employees quickly shut off the fuel supply and ran to check on the driver. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured in the incident.
It was amazing, man.
Finally, sometimes saving the day is just about lending a helping hand. A Baltimore cop came to the rescue of a family of ducks by giving the tiny ducklings an extra push to get them out of a busy road. It wasn't a seamless operation. In fact, one hot-footed hatchling led the officer on a duck hunt through traffic. But in the end, the feathered family forged ahead, fine and dandy. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, we want to leave you with a smile tonight. A 92-year-old man in Wisconsin has just earned his high school diploma. Jim Harrigus enrolled at Boys Tech High School, now called Bradley Tech, in 1945, but he left to work in his family's construction business. 6 years later, he was drafted into the Korean War and served 2 years before returning home. He had a successful career owning a Milwaukee home remodeling company, but he never earned that high school diploma until now. Harrigus has 6 children, 15 grandkids, and 10 great-grandkids who are all very proud of him. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.